I've mentioned a number of times on these calls, for those who've been with me before, uh, a wonderful friend and mentor of mine over the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, a fellow named Peter Brown. For those of you who know of Peter's work, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as and been inspired by it as much as I have over the years. I've certainly happily introduced many people to his work, which is extraordinary. He passed away, I guess, a couple of months ago now. And I wanted to talk a little bit about a phrase that he uses. It's very central to his work, and it's just a simple, but I think powerful, simple yet powerful phrase to capture the uncapturable, and in a sense reduce it to its sort of fundamental essence. Um, and the phrase he uses is radiant presence, and he called his work, his teaching, the yoga of radiant presence. And the yoga just referred to essentially exploring what he called radiant presence. And I'll share with you my perspective on it. It's really what I talk about, even if I don't always use those particular words. But presence refers to this, what's, we could say, most fundamental, most obvious, most essential about what's going on here, which is that it is here, that it's going on, that it's present, that it exists, that it's actual, that it's palpable. This is so obvious and all encompassing and omnipresent, this presence. And maybe that's partly why it can get sort of just overlooked as like, well, yeah, of course it's present. But coming to appreciate this inexorable, undeniable, ever-present presence of everything is, well, just so powerful to do. And the presence of everything also really points to, really highlights um, something I emphasize, which is discovering what is common to all of this, because the interpreting consciousness is engaged in this seemingly constant process of naming and describing and sort of distinguishing this from that, and seemingly dividing the world up into distinct phenomena, right? And so we imagine ourselves, by and large, consensus reality, you could say, we imagine ourselves living in a world made of pieces and parts that are, again, distinct from one another, right? And we miss something so fundamental and liberating about all of this seeming difference and differentiation, which is it is all of one thing. It is really a continuum of something that we can't say what it's a continuum of. But we could say it's a continuum of presence, because presence is something, an aspect, we could say, of everything. Whatever appears experientially is present in its very appearance, right? Feel that. We are feeling that. We're feeling nothing but the presence of everything. And our focus tends to be, our emphasis tends to be on what we think the presence is, how we think it is, how we hold it kind of conceptually and understand it conceptually and define it, which is fine. It is fine to have that kind of orientation, to have that kind of emphasis as part of this, right? It's part of the way this moves, this expresses itself. But we also have an opportunity to tune into this fundamental presence of everything that is not, as is often talked about in sort of psycho-spiritual worlds, of, presence and becoming more present and this sort of thing, like a particular experience as contrasted with experiences of non-presence. No, the presence that Peter was referring to in the phrase radiant presence, and I refer to in my work, is a presence that doesn't come and go. It is a presence of what is. How does that come and go? It's always here. This presence is always here. It's here effortlessly. You don't have to look for the presence. It's finding us in every instant, we could say. It is appearing as everything effortlessly. There's nothing that need be done to conjure it up. It's here. It's being conjured as everything that's appearing. The presence. Feel that. Feel how no matter what's being thought, what's being sensed, what's being felt, and how all of that may be being held, characterized interpretively, it all shares this feature of sheer existence, sheer presence. And you can never escape this presence. You can never be removed from this presence. It's as solid could be. It's as indestructible as can be, because it is all that exists, this presence. This is what you're feeling in its most basic. Whatever you're experiencing in its basis, we could say, is this presence, the presence of what is. The here-ness of it. Everything is here, isn't it? And everything is always right now. This presence. Let yourself just enjoy that. The sheer existence, the sheer presence of all of it. You see, you don't have to locate a particular or cultivate or realize a particular kind of experience to find presence, because presence is the basis of all experience. We could say what's most essential about it is that it is. So it doesn't matter what's being experienced, because presence is right there. So we can just relax completely from any efforting to make something else happen, right? Nothing else has to happen, because here is presence. So this other part of the phrase, radiance, radiant presence. This presence is not some blank nothingness. You'll hear this phrase sometimes in certain non-dual circles of, nothing, the nothingness. There's nothing here. We could say there's no findable thing here because of the infinite nature of this, as I'm often emphasizing. You can't pinpoint a thing, but this no thingness, this unfindable presence that's actually always being found as what is, has this quality of radiating, doesn't it? This quality of radiance, of shining. It's bright. Everything that's appearing is its brightness, it's shining, it's radiance. It's incredible, isn't it? The radiance is incredible. All of this, you could say the color in the broadest sense, the color of existence, the myriad, infinite colors of it, the infinite flavors of it, the qualities of it. This is its radiance. And the presence is always shining as this radiance. they're not really, they're like two sides of the same coin. They're just one thing. They're not, the presence is always radiating, always shining, and the shining is present. They're one thing. But let yourself feel the radiance of this, the rich, luscious aliveness and light illumination and brightness of this radiance. It's unmistakable, isn't it? As all of our experience is the radiance. It's like the presence is, in a sense, the naked raw existence, and its radiance is its garment, its clothing, the way it shows up, the way it appears, the way it looks, the way it seems to be. That's the radiance. Its color, its shine, its brilliance, its illumination. And this radiance is, again, we needn't search for the radiance. It's just here. It's all that we're seeing is a radiance. There's nothing to look for. What we are looking at is the radiance, right? What we are experiencing is the radiance. So no other experience is needed to encounter and to touch the radiance. No effort is required for it to be here, to make it be here, to make it brighter. It's brilliant beyond imagination. Showing up as each instant, just here, inexplicably. I wrote something this morning that, just because it was striking me, this radiance that's appearing as each instant arises from we know not where and dissolves into we know not what. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? But it's like creative activity. In the I guess Indian tradition, the Vedic tradition, this is the dance of Shiva and Shakti. You know, Shiva is the presence, the groundless ground, and Shakti is its energetic emanations, its liveliness. We feel the liveliness, don't we? It's scintillating, it's sparkling, it's electric, it's effervescent. In all of our experience, we are feeling that, aren't we? We are drinking, we're drinking in the radiance. And this is always happening, but we can bring some attention to it right now and notice how much you're drinking in the radiance. The radiance or experience, you could say, they're kind of synonymous. It's drinking in itself. It's just drenched in itself. It's right. You're tasting this moment, aren't you? No matter how you're describing it, the moment it's being consumed. It's being encountered. It's being engaged with. This radiance is well, I guess I would try to describe it as, you know, this nourishing flow of existence. It's the dynamism of it, the absolute aliveness of it. And the radiance always looks different. This is all the incredible, this is the great paradox, right? This one presence, this one inconceivable, indefinable, ungraspable, unnameable, infinite, groundless ground, this presence is showing up as this unimaginable diversity, everything unique, everything distinct, every little pixel in the field of experience, unique and distinct from the pixel next to it, if you will. Even though it's all this continuum where you can't find where, even if you look in the visual field and you see nothing but all these differentiated shapes and colors and forms, and then you look at the visual field and you realize, oh my God, it's actually just a continuum. You do not find gaps anywhere in the visual field. It's a single visual field, isn't it? So one thing, one visual field, one field of light. I'm just looking at the visual field, one field of light that shows up as all this distinction and differentiation, right? But is one of one seamless continuum. That's the radiance. And what an absolute miracle, the way it can look like all of this different, distinct stuff, and yet we can't find any separation anywhere at the same time. One thing, one presence radiating as all this differentiation, all this seeming separation. None of this is philosophy. This is our experience. I'm just describing another window into the experience that we're having right now, which is one that tends not to get a lot of emphasis in the collective consciousness, right? But here it is, this incredible ever-present presence, this ground, this beingness of each moment, the existence of each moment. I mean, that is the miracle, right? That anything even is, that anything is actually present. It's absolute miracle. And we are that miracle. We're not in any way, shape, or form standing outside of the radiance, sort of noticing it somehow, witnessing it, observing it, appreciating it. I mean, it can feel that way, but we are the radiance itself, whatever we are. Everything about us, body, mind, personality, is all the dance of the radiance, this radiant presence. Or we could say the radiance is dancing with itself. It is drinking in itself. It is enjoying itself, being itself. What a glorious thing that it can seem to split itself into myriad parts and pieces and then be in relationship with itself through that seeming separation, as just as we can be with one another now. That dance of separation is a beautiful one, even if from another vantage we can't find any separation whatsoever. But the seeming separation, we could say, is what allows for the dance of otherness, that dance of experience, of being able to have experience, encounter something, see something, hear something, taste something, appreciate something. This ever-present presence, here we are. We are this ever-present presence, and everything that's encountered is this ever-present presence, radiating, shining, emanating. You see how no particular experience is required in order to recognize this. It is not a particular experience. It is all experience, it's the radiance. So your experience right now, exactly as it is, without having to change one iota, is the radiance, is the presence that's radiating this energy of creativity, of emanation, of we can't really say. I remember writing something a while back about meditation, because I'd spent a lot of time as a meditation practitioner and teacher and researcher, and not so much these days. I mean, unless you call what I'm doing now meditation, which I guess you could. But I was talking this little piece I wrote about this way that meditation is often heard or conceived of or taught, which is in subtle or not so subtle ways of, here you are at point A and you're meditating presumably to move to some other point B, some other insight, some other state, some other recognition, some other place, right? That's whatever, more clear, less diluted, and so on. But what I'm talking about now is not going from point A to point B, but realizing that all there is point A. There is no point B. There's no place to move to, or that you could move to. There's, in a sense, when you're changing states, when the states are changing, what we describe as the states and the moods and the flow of human experience, we're really literally just, we're moving from one form of the radiance into another form of the radiance, right? We're not going anywhere in that sense. We're not gaining on it somehow. You can't have more of the radiance. The radiance is full on. It's full on the Shakti of reality of this presence. And so there's not another experience to have. Even though our experience is just unstoppably in a we could say a place of flux and flow and ever-changing and permanent dynamism. So we can't stop the change, but we don't have to get to some other experience. This is the experience of reality right now. This is the shining forth. You call it the meditation of what is. It's the best meditation. Life's meditation.